Let's be real for a second. Choosing a career, it can feel like one of the biggest, most stressful questions in your entire life. So today, we're going to break down this really powerful framework from the blog Wait But Why. The goal here is to help you find a path that is authentically, uniquely you.
All right, so to really get into this, we first have to look at how most of us even end up at the starting line of our career path. And what's wild is that for so many of us, it's not really a path we've chosen at all. I want you to think of your childhood like a river, right? You didn't choose it. You basically just woke up one day and you were in it. Your parents, your school, society, they all set the course. And your job? Super simple. Just keep swimming. Go with the flow.
And this river, it carries you all the way through your school years. Then it flows right into this kind of pond. Let's call it higher education. Now, in the pond, you get a little more freedom, sure, but you're still in a pretty structured, guided world. The real world, that's just waiting over there on the shore.
And then just like that, it stops. Cold. You graduate, you get kicked out of the pond, and suddenly you're just standing on the shore. The world kind of looks at you, shrugs, and basically says, all right, good luck. Go figure it out. And this image, wow, it just captures that feeling of panic perfectly, doesn't it? You feel completely unprepared. You've got no real-world skills, no connections, no money, and absolutely no map for what's supposed to happen next. That preset path you're on is just gone.
You see, here's the fundamental shift that happens. Your whole life up to this point, you were an employee. Your job was just to be a good student. Someone else was the CEO, right? They were making all the big picture decisions. But now, you are the CEO. You are suddenly in charge of all the huge macro questions, and you have exactly zero experience.
Okay, so this brings us to a really core concept that helps explain why this whole transition is so incredibly hard. And more importantly, it shows us how we can start to think about it differently. It's all about this idea of being a cook versus being a chef.
So what do we mean by that? Well, a cook is someone who reasons by analogy. They find a recipe, a pre-existing path, and they just follow it. It's basically copying what other people have already done. A chef, though, is totally different. A chef reasons from first principles. They start with the most basic raw ingredients, their own values, their skills, the actual facts, and they invent a brand new recipe completely from scratch. And you can see the contrast laid out so clearly here. The cook's path, yeah, it's easier, it's safer, it's all about conformity. The chef's path, on the other hand, is way more difficult. It demands originality, and believe me, it involves a ton of trial and error. But, and this is the important part, it leads to something that is uniquely yours. Look, for a lot of things in life, being a cook is totally fine. I mean, what clothes to wear? Who cares? Just follow a trend. It saves time and energy. But for the really, really big decisions, the ones that actually define your life, shouldn't you be a chef for those?
So, if we're gonna be a chef, we have to understand the stakes. And it all starts with this one number, 250,000. What is that? Well, that's roughly how many meaningful adult hours you have in a long life. That's after you take out childhood, all the time you spend sleeping, and just, basic life maintenance.
Okay, so your career, it's going to eat up a massive chunk of that time. We're talking anywhere from 50,000 to 150,000 of those precious hours. Think about that. This is the single biggest time commitment you will ever make in your entire life. This is definitely not something you want to be a cook about. And you know what? It's so much more than just the hours you put in. Your career, it dictates your financial stability, it determines where you live and who you meet. It's your primary way of having an impact on the world. And for so many of us, it becomes a huge part of our identity. This, my friends, is a chef-level problem.
So the big question is, how does a chef actually make this monumental decision? Well, it starts with a simple but really powerful framework. Think of it like building your own personal career compass.
Okay, first up, we have the want box. This is exactly what it sounds like. It's where you put everything you genuinely desire in a career. And I mean genuinely, not what you think you should want, and definitely not what other people want for you. This is about what you truly yearn for.
All right, the second piece of the puzzle is the reality box. Now, this one requires some brutal honesty with yourself. This box contains the set of all careers that are actually realistically possible for you. You have to consider your potential, your skills, and just how difficult a certain field is. And this is where the magic happens, right here in the overlap. This intersection, that's your option pool. These are the careers that are both desirable to you and realistically achievable by you. This is the sweet spot. This is where you need to focus all of your attention. But let's be honest, filling out that one box accurately, that's the hardest part of this whole thing. To do it right, you have to really understand yourself. And for that, we're going to need some help. It's time to meet the yearning octopus.
Yeah, you heard me right, the yearning octopus. It's a fantastic metaphor for all the different parts that make up who you are. See, each tentacle represents a different set of your desires and your fears. And here is the absolute key. Those tentacles are often pulling in completely opposite directions.
So for example, you've got your personal tentacle. That's the part of you that craves fulfillment, wants to leave a mark, and feels passionate. But then you've got your social tentacle, and it just wants acceptance and approval, and it's terrified of being judged. And then there's the lifestyle tentacle, which, honestly, it just wants to be comfortable and secure. So choosing a career becomes this huge game of compromise between all these conflicting parts of you.
So once you've done the hard work, once you've started to untangle your own yearning octopus and built that compass we talked about, it all leads to one final, absolutely crucial step.
You know, even if you're one of the lucky ones who feels like you're on a pretty clear path, it's so important to pause and reflect on this question. Who actually drew this arrow? Was it really me? Was the direction you're heading in a conscious choice made by you, the chef? Or was it just a recipe that someone else handed to you?
So I'm going to ask you directly, who drew the arrow on your map? Was it you? Was it your parents? Maybe your teachers? Or just society's expectations? Look, being a chef of your own career means taking back the pen. It means making sure that arrow is pointing exactly where your authentic self, your entire yearning octopus, truly wants it to go.
Because ultimately, this whole process isn't about finding some perfect, pre-written recipe for success. It's about giving yourself permission to invent your own. It's time to stop following those old recipes, to throw out the old map, and, with a deep, honest understanding of yourself, to start drawing a brand new one.